This is our story, How a Nation Forgot the Hands That Built It, by Waytha Moorthy. In the heart of Malaysia's modern cities and sprawling townships lie the remnants of a forgotten promise. Centuries-old Hindu temples that once stood as beacons of community and faith, now threatened or erased under the label of illegality. This narrative, long perpetuated by official rhetoric, is not only misleading, it's a painful and degrading rewriting of history. This toxic narrative, pushed by opportunistic politicians and amplified by those with clear intent to criminalize the Indian Hindu identity, is nothing short of character assassination. The issue gained national attention following the Hindraf rally, which I organized with my fellow lawyers in 2007, a watershed moment for Malaysia's Indian community. In the lead-up to that protest, the then Barisan national government painted the demolished temples as illegal structures, often claiming they were built on private land and government land without approval. This narrative persists today, troublingly echoed even by leaders who benefited from the Hindraf neo-democratic uprising in 2007, including PM Anwar Ibrahim. But the truth is far more complex and far older. During the British colonial era, long before Malaysia's independence or the current land laws, these temples were built with the full knowledge and approval of the then authorities. In fact, they were encouraged. The British administration, working closely with local Malay rulers, sanctioned the construction of Hindu temples as a way to support and stabilize the influx of Indian laborers. These workers were the backbone of Malaya's development, building roads, railways, plantations, and vital infrastructure that powered the country's early growth. You may wonder, how did I get these information? After 4 years of exhaustive research at the British Library, the London Archives, and various museums, the truth became clear. Truth buried under decades of denial and neglect. Historical records, including official minutes from the Selangor government administration reports of the late 1800s and early 1900s, make it clear. The colonial government actively supported temple construction and promised land allocations to Indian laborers with full knowledge of the then Malay rulers. Each family was to receive at least 3 acres, plus 1 additional acre for each male member of the household after 2 years of indentured service. That promise was never fulfilled, simply because the British and the rulers needed the cheap labor provided by the Indians that was providing wealth to the respective states. Instead, generations of Malaysian Indians grew up on these land, denied ownership, and increasingly marginalized. Today, they form one of the most landless ethnic groups in the world, a legacy of broken promises and systemic neglect. Beginning in the 1970s, nearly 800,000 Indians were systematically uprooted from land they had cultivated for generations, a calculated displacement that didn't just evict them from the soil they built, but tore apart their dignity, their identity, and their rightful stake in the nation's future. They lost more than land. They lost their schools, their communities, their way of life. What was left was a fractured, displaced society, stripped of security, denied belonging, and abandoned by a nation they helped build. We are asked to ignore the fact that these structures were once symbols of dignity, built not in defiance but with trust that Malaysia would honor its early commitments and protect its diverse cultural fabric. In a country founded on the ideals of pluralism and religious freedom, respect for non-Muslim places of worship is not merely a legal matter, it is a moral one. Upholding the right of every community to their heritage and faith is vital to fostering peace, trust, and unity. Without that, multiculturalism becomes an empty slogan. For a government that speaks of Madani, civilization, compassion, and progress, repeating the mistakes of the past is not only unjust, it is a betrayal of Malaysia's promise. It is time we stop erasing our foundations and start honoring them.